You know, I've always found it funny. People sit around waiting for some invisible force to come and fix their lives. They call it karma, like some cosmic delivery service is gonna show up at their door and hand them justice on a silver plate. But me, no. I don't wait for delivery. I break into the warehouse and take over the supply chain. This isn't about luck. It isn't about waiting. It's about deciding that you're done playing victim, that you're done being the one they laugh at in private, the one they whisper about in the shadows. This is about taking the whispers and turning them into the loudest scream they've ever heard. So if you've been broken, if you've been underestimated, if they've written you off as nothing good, that's where it starts. Right here, right now. They thought it was over. They thought you were done. You could see it in their smirks, hear it in the way they spoke your name like it was already carved on a gravestone. They didn't just hope you'd disappear. They planned for it. They had your coffin ready in their minds, and they stood there in their little imaginary black suits, waiting for the dirt to be thrown over you. They underestimated you so badly. It's almost poetic, because the truth is, you didn't just survive, you made survival look like an art form. You didn't crawl back gasping for air, begging for a second chance. No. You walked back into the world like you owned the place, and every step you took was a slap in the face to every single one of them who thought you'd never get up again. I want you to picture it, the same people who smiled while you were drowning, now forced to watch you walk on water. The ones who whispered about your failure, now choking on the silence because you don't even acknowledge their existence anymore. You didn't give them the satisfaction of hearing you complain. You didn't give them the comfort of knowing you were struggling. You went quiet. You worked in the shadows. You rebuilt from the ground up. And when you came back, you weren't the same. The old you died in the fire, they said. But the person who came out, that's someone they can't handle. Someone with sharper edges, someone who doesn't need their approval, their validation, or their pathetic little applause. You've become a different breed, the kind of person who doesn't just play the game better, but changes the rules entirely. And that's the thing they'll never admit. They're scared now. Scared because they can't predict you. Scared because you've stopped needing them. Scared because you've taken every ounce of pain they gave you and turned it into fuel. You're not here to prove them wrong anymore. That's too small for you. You're here to build something so big, so untouchable that their opinions turn into background noise. You see, a funeral is supposed to be the end of a story, but for you, it was just the prologue, that so-called ending they wrote for you. You ripped it up and started writing in ink so bold it bleeds off the page, and now every single day you breathe. Every move you make is proof that they don't get to decide when your story is over. You don't forgive them. You don't forget. You don't waste time on revenge that looks like some movie plot. No. Your revenge is quieter, colder, more permanent. It's in the way you've built a life they can't touch, a power they can't steal, and a future they'll never be invited to. That's how you win. Not by screaming at the people who doubted you, but by becoming the kind of person they can't even And here's the part that really burns them. You didn't just survive their storm. You learned to control it. You became the storm. You turned every drop of rain into a weapon, every gust of wind into a push forward. They thought they'd bury you. They didn't realize you were So let them keep their little funeral in their heads. Let them keep picturing you gone, because the more they live in that fantasy, the harder it hits when reality walks into the room. And reality is you, standing taller than ever, looking them in the eye without a word, and making it painfully clear you're not going anywhere. There's a moment, and you remember it like it's carved into your skull. A day so sharp it cut the old you clean out. That was the day you stopped waiting for someone to nod their head, sign the paper, or give you a polite little go-ahead. That was the day you ripped the leash off your own neck and walked into the world with that dangerous glint in your eyes, the one that says, "I'm done being tame." Up until then, you were trained. Trained to play nice. Trained to ask, "Is this okay?" Trained to wait for the gate to open. But that's the trick, isn't it? They build the gate around you so you forget you could climb it, break it, or just burn the whole damn thing down. They keep you in a box and tell you it's for your own good. And you stayed there until that one day. That day something inside you snapped, not in a loud dramatic explosion. No, it was quieter than that. Scarier than that. It was a cold, calm realization that no one was coming to rescue you. No one was going to hand you the life you wanted. The permission you'd been begging for, it wasn't coming. And in that silence, you understood the truth. You don't need it. When you stop asking, you stop being predictable. When you stop waiting, you stop being controllable. That's when you start moving in ways they can't track. That's when you start building without broadcasting. And that's when they start looking nervous. Because suddenly they're not the ones holding the keys anymore. You are. You became your own authority. You stopped needing their validation like oxygen. You stopped seeking their approval like a drug. You started acting like the boss of your own damn life. Because that's exactly what you are. And once you tasted that, there was no going back. Do you know what power feels like the first time you really hold it? It's not loud. It's not a crowd cheering. It's not fireworks in the sky. It's the silence in your head when you finally know you're in control now. That every step you take is yours alone. That you don't need to explain it, justify it, or wrap it up in pretty words for anyone else's comfort. People don't like it when you stop asking for permission. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them angry. Because deep down, they wanted you dependent. They liked you playing small. They liked the version of you that needed them. But that version is gone. And this one doesn't wait at the door. This one builds new doors. This one walks through walls. You see, the day you stopped asking was the day you started owning. Owning your time. Owning your choices. Owning your future. And here's the part they'll never admit. They respect you more now, even if it's buried under jealousy. Even if it's dripping with resentment. They see you differently. They see you as a threat. And that's exactly what you are. So remember this. Permission is a leash. Approval is a cage. And the moment you stop needing either one, you become something they can't handle. You become someone who moves without warning. Someone who acts without waiting. Someone who doesn't just survive the game, but starts running it. That's the day your life stopped being a request and became a statement. Silence. Most people don't understand its power. They think winning means noise, shouting your moves, flashing your success, rubbing it in their faces. That's amateur work. Real power doesn't announce itself. Real power sits in the corner, says nothing, and lets the fear grow in their heads until it eats them alive. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop giving them updates, the game changes. They don't know what you're doing anymore. They don't know if you're failing, winning, or plotting something they can't even imagine. That uncertainty, that's poison to their comfort. And the best part, you don't have to lift a finger for it to work. Think about it, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. They need validation. They need to be seen. But the one who stays quiet, that's the one people watch out for. Because silence means you're not desperate for attention. You're working on something bigger than their curiosity. You've mastered the art of letting them wonder. You let them make up stories in their heads. You let them overthink every move you might be making. And while they're busy drowning in their own guesses, you're moving pieces across the board they didn't even know existed. It's a slow burn. You're not racing. You're not trying to prove anything in a single day. You're building something brick by brick, move by move. And each day you stay quiet, their paranoia grows. They start asking questions. What's he up to? Why isn't she posting anything? How did they get that? Where did that come from? And the more they ask, the deeper the hook sinks. See, silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It's you holding the cards so tight they don't even know you're in the game. It's the look on their face when you finally reveal what you've been building, and it's already too late for them to catch up. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them a preview. You don't even owe them a warning. If they couldn't see the vision before, they don't deserve to see the process now. Let them keep guessing. Let them keep wondering. The longer they wait for answers, the more power shifts in your favor. And here's the part that stings for them. When you finally make your move, you don't say a word. No announcement. No told you so. You just step into the room with results so undeniable that their mouths go dry. That's when they realize you've been playing a completely different game and winning it the whole time. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to deal with their own thoughts. And when you're their subject, when they can't get you out of their head, you've already taken control. That's why the most dangerous move you can make is sometimes no move at all. You're not hiding. You're not scared. You're calculating. And when the calculation is complete, you don't just show up. You show up like a storm that's been building for months. Impossible to ignore. Impossible to stop. They'll talk. They'll guess. They'll panic. Let them. That's the beauty of silence. It speaks louder than anything you could say. Pain has a way of rewriting you. Not gently, not politely. It carves into you with a blade, stripping away the soft parts you thought you needed. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care if you can handle it. And when it's done, you're left staring at yourself, wondering if the person in the mirror is even the same. The truth, they're not. And that's the point. Pain can turn you bitter. That's the easy path. That's the version where you become just like the people who hurt you. Cold, reckless, destructive. And some people take that road because it's simple. Because it feels like justice. But it's not. Bitterness is still a chain. It keeps you tied to them. Tied to the past. Tied to every wound you swore you'd escape. You chose differently. You didn't become the pain. You studied it. You dissected it. You asked the hard question, what is this trying to teach me? And in that question you found something most people never find. Clarity. Pain taught you where your limits really were. And how false they'd been all along. It taught you which people were real and which ones were just passing through. It taught you that comfort is overrated, and that growth always demands a price. But most importantly, it taught you that you are not made of glass. You don't shatter that easily. The world expects pain to ruin you. They expect you to fall apart, to stay small, to carry the wound like it's your permanent identity. That's why they don't see you coming when you use it instead. When you let the pain become your blueprint instead of your prison. You turned every setback into a lesson, every betrayal into a map, every loss into a weapon. And here's the twist. You're not carrying the pain anymore. You've extracted what you needed from it, and you've left the rest to rot. You're lighter now, sharper, faster. See, people who become their pain, they live in reaction mode forever. But you're in creation mode now. You don't just respond to life, you shape it. You make moves not out of fear, but out of precision, out of strategy, out of a vision so clear. Nothing can knock you off course. And here's what makes you truly dangerous. You're calm, not because life got easier, but because you've already been through the kind of storms that sink ships. You've been tested in ways that would break most people. And now, no matter what comes next, you know exactly how to navigate it. That's the power of learning from pain without becoming it. You get all the strength, all the resilience, all the wisdom, without the poison. You walk into rooms without the weight of your past dragging behind you. You speak without the bitterness dripping from your voice. You move without the desperation to prove yourself to anyone. You've become untouchable, not because you can't be hurt again, but because you know exactly what to do when it happens. You're not afraid of pain anymore. You've mastered, and once you master pain, there's nothing left in this world that can truly control you. There comes a point when playing defense gets boring, when surviving isn't enough, when watching from the sidelines feels like a waste of time. And that's when you make the move that changes everything. You stop being a participant, and you become the one running the show. Taking over the whole operation isn't about throwing a fit or forcing your way in with brute force. That's loud, that's sloppy, that's what amateurs do. You moved in like smoke, quiet, unnoticed. By the time they realized you were inside, you were already in the control room. Hands on the switches, you studied everything, every weakness, every blind spot, every crack in the system they didn't think anyone would note. You didn't attack it head on. You dismantled it from the inside, piece by piece. And when you finally stepped into the spotlight, it wasn't as a challenger, it was as the new owner. You didn't just want a seat at the table. You took the whole damn table, ripped out the floor it stood on, and rebuilt it on your terms. Now every move flows through you. Every decision passes your desk. And the ones who used to hold power, they're just watching confused, trying to figure out when the tide turned, never realizing it was the moment they underestimated you. Because that's the thing about underestimation. It's the best cover you'll ever get. They didn't guard against you. They didn't take you serious. And while they were busy laughing, you were learning. While they were showing off, you were setting traps. While they were talking about karma, you became the one delivering it. Owning the operation isn't just about power. It's about security. It's about never being at their mercy again. You've designed it so the game can't be played without you now. If they want to move forward, they have to go through you. And you don't forget how they treated you when you were on the outside. That memory shapes every choice you make. But here's the real beauty. You don't need to scream about it. You don't need to flaunt it. You just show up every day, running things like it's second nature. And they feel it. They feel the shift. They feel the loss of control. They know deep down that the power they once had is never coming back. You've flipped the script. You're not reacting anymore. You're writing the story. You're setting the rules. You're deciding who gets a seat, who gets cut out, and who never gets a second chance. And if that sounds cold, good. This isn't a game for the soft-hearted. This is survival at the highest level. Taking over means more than winning. It means securing the ground so no one can push you off it again. It means building something so strong, so airtight that even if they come for you, they'll break themselves trying. You've turned the entire structure into a fortress, and you're the one holding the only key. And now, you don't just run the operation. You are the operator. There's a certain kind of presence that can't be faked. It's not about how expensive your clothes are, or how loud you speak, or how much you try to prove yourself. It's an energy, a weight, a silent command that fills the air the second you step through the door. People might not even understand it consciously, but their instincts do. Their bodies react before their minds can process it. Conversations pause. Eyes shift. That nervous shuffle starts happening. The air feels heavier. Why? Because you've entered, and with you comes a force that tilts the balance of the room. This isn't charisma in the shallow, charming sense. No, this is deep. This is the type of presence that's built from the scars you've earned, the nights you've bled in silence, the storms you've survived without anyone holding an umbrella for you. It's a presence made of grit, made of endurance, made of all the moments you chose not to crumble when crumbling was the easier option. You don't just walk in, you arrive. And that arrival is felt in the bones of everyone around you. People who carry this energy don't need to demand attention, it just happens. They've mastered the art of silence as much as the art of speaking. They don't waste words, they don't fill the air with empty noise. When they speak, it's with intent. And when they stay quiet, it's with purpose. That's what unnerves the weak. Because they can't read you. They can't tell if you're studying them, dismissing them, or plotting something they can't even imagine. And in that uncertainty, they start to play defense. Walking into a room like this doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from ownership. You own your choices, you own your flaws, you own your ambition. And people can feel it. There's no hesitation in your step, no darting of your eyes, no shrinking of your shoulders. You've been through too much to walk like prey. You move like the hunter. That energy, it makes those who've underestimated you suddenly rethink every single assumption they've ever made. And here's the thing, when you have this kind of presence, you don't just influence the room. You control the pace. If the mood is tense, you can cut through it with a word. If it's lazy, you can ignite urgency without raising your voice. If it's chaotic, you can settle it by simply planting your feet and looking around. That's power. And it's not the kind of power that needs to be announced. It's the kind that's simply but you don't get to that point by accident. You earn it. Every battle you fought in the dark, every time you stood your ground when it would have been easier to bow. Every moment you chose to refine instead of retreat. That's what turns you into the person who shifts the temperature of the room. And once you have it, you never go back. You become the storm in human form, and when you enter, the forecast changes instantly.